Hey everyone, Mr. Justin here with the Hernando County Public Library System, and thank you so much for joining us for another science video. Today we're going to have a lot of fun with today's videos, and what we need today is either bowls, cups, or glasses, or jars with water, some salt, and gummy bears. So a lot of the times when you put different candies, sugary candies, and water and just leave it sit there, it's actually going to dissolve into the water, right? Just dissolve completely. Gummy bears do not though, because of the mixture of the water and gelatin and sugar. When you put it in water, it doesn't dissolve right away. It will just kind of sit there. In fact, they might even grow and get bigger or even smaller depending on what you put them in. So that's what we're going to test today. And so what we have first is we have a jar, and you can use any brand of jelly of gummy bear. I tested both the Albanese and the Haribo brands just to see what would work better, and I was happy with both. So let's go ahead and do a couple of Haribo. We'll get, that's not good, that color. We'll get one of these Haribos, and then you're just going to take a jar or a cup of water or a bowl and just place it in there and just let it sit. A few hours later, you can go up and observe it. You might see there might be bubbles surrounding it, and then 24 hours, a day later, you can go see what it looks like, observe again, and a day later, observe and see what it looks like again after that. And we'll show you what mine will look like about 17 to 18 hours after I put them in a jar. And then you can take another Haribo, and we have another jar, but what we're going to do in this case is we're going to make a solution of salt water. So I'm going to put some salt in the water, and I'm going to mix it, and we're making a solution, right? And a solution is when we have a mix of a solvent and a solute. In this case, the solvent is the water. The solute, which is what dissolves in the water, is the salt, and we mix those together and make a solution. I'm going to go ahead and put some more in there, just so we have a very salty solution between the solvent, which is the water, and the solute, which is the salt. In this case, whatever dissolves in there. And then you can take the gummy bear and place it in there again, and also just leave it there. And just like the first one that we put in the regular tap water, you can go back and observe it every few hours or every day or so and see what it looks like. So why don't we see what mine looks like. So we'll start with the Haribo, which is going to be right here. And we have the regular water and the salt water. So I'm going to pour this out, and let's see what we have. And we observe right here. And I don't know if I can pick it up. Oh, I have the original Haribo that I had here, and in this bowl I have the new one. If I compare it side by side, I can definitely see it is larger. It's a little blobbier and not quite as bear-shaped as my original one. And then if I do my little salt solution right here, and I bring it out, I can actually see, I can actually pick this one up. I can see right here that the bear is actually a pretty similar size. If I keep it in there longer, it should get a little smaller, but it's definitely not as big as the one in the regular water. And let's go ahead and see with our Albanese right there, which is the orange bear. And let's go ahead and start with the salt one first. And the Albanese are slightly bigger than the Haribo to begin with. And we can see it definitely got a little bigger. Like I said, sometimes with the salt it would get a little smaller. Maybe I don't have enough salt in there, but it's definitely not as big as what we're about to see with the water one right there. So I always like to compare, and I compared with the same flavor of gummy bears just to be consistent. And let's see if we can get this out. There we go. It's definitely a large blob right there. But if we compare it to the original one, you can definitely see it's a lot blobbier, it's a lot bigger. So what happened there is osmosis. So that's one of my favorite words to say, is osmosis. And osmosis is the process in which solvent, in this case the water, moves from a place of a lower solute concentration into a place of higher solute concentration. So either salt or water is what is in the, sugar is what is in the gummy bear, and the water that has no salt in it, the water wants to go to a place of higher solute. So it goes into the porous areas of the gummy bear, which is already made up of some water in there, and it just makes it expand and get bigger and bigger and bigger without dissolving. But we do have a little blob right here. So again, the gummy bear is expanded in size due to osmosis, and that's the ability of water to be absorbed by seeping through a semi-permeable membrane. And gummy bears are made up of water, sugar, and gelatin. So like a sponge, gummy bears will absorb the water, and the gelatin will keep the bears from dissolving in the water. And you can even try other liquids like milk and vinegar is actually going to make it even blow up even bigger and blobbier, but you may not be able to hold it in your hand like this. But you can definitely see that in just 17 hours in water, that it definitely grew in size. It definitely absorbed a lot of the water, just like a sponge. And the reason why it's not dissolving is because of the gelatin is still holding it together. So it's kind of fun to put the gummy bears in different solutions or different liquids to see how they expand and how they treat. Now with the salt, if I had them in there with more salt water and they're longer, what's actually going to happen is a lot of the water should be going from the gummy bear out to the salt water or the sugar water if you use sugar, and that is going to should make the gummy bears a little smaller. I didn't see that here very well. I probably should have had saltier water or put it in there a little longer. Like I said, this is just 17-18 minutes worth of, hours of the gummy bears in our little solution or in our water jars. So it's kind of a cool thing to watch osmosis work, which is the water going from the water into the gummy bear through the semi-permeable with a porous gummy bear right there, and kind of it not dissolving because of the gelatin. So it's kind of cool to watch. So this is definitely a fun activity that you can observe. Place them in your jars or in your cups every few hours or every day. Look and see what happens and observe to see how the gummy bears change. And the other thing I recommend is the gummy bears that you put in your jar, probably don't want to eat them, especially the salt ones. So if you have a couple extra ones in your bag, I would snack on those, a couple of those, instead of the ones you put on the jar that we are using for science. So hope everybody enjoyed our gummy bear experiment today, as we talked a little bit about solutions and solvents and solutes, and of course about osmosis. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.